he goes on the island of his toxic relationship. Calypso. The toxic one. We've all met one like that.
Or maybe the one that got away. Maybe the one that got away. You know, Calypso is like, it's the situationship that you can't stop thinking about.
I'm sorry, I don't know about what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
That's Calypso.
Okay, yeah, that's Calypso. So Calypso basically, you need to understand, Calypso is a woman who fell in love with Odysseus. She's a woman of peace. And Odysseus
You don't blame her, you know. Like.
Voila. And Odysseus was like, why not? Right?
Because he had just been through all of that.
Voila. So,
like, when you put it in the context of Scylla and Charybdis, Circe, the sirens, all your men dying, the Cyclops eating your boys, the gods spiting you.
Yes.
You've been at war at Troy for 10 years. You've just seen everybody die.
Been there, done that.
Like, why not? Why not fall into the arms of this beautiful demigoddess?
Right.
And enjoy myself and consummate my life here.
Yeah, but what's the problem here?
It's that there's a beautiful wife at home for him and a son that needs a father.
No, that's a solution. The problem is that Calypso is a toxic relationship. She was like, wait a second. You're staying here. It's too good here.
Yes.
No, like
she wants to restrain Odysseus.
No, she's like, listen, man. The engine you've proposed to me right here is very appealing, right? Like, we understand all that, how can I say that properly? How can I word that magnificently? We could say that drive that you have that, conquered the city, the high walls of Troy, and erected that magnificent horse, is giving the demigoddess shivers. Therefore, she wanted to have that attacking engine for herself. And she was like, what? And she was like, listen,
it's a good allegory you got going on.
You're staying here and I'm making you eternal.
Right.
But Odysseus was like, wait a second, so now eternally I'm going to have to satisfy the demigoddess?
Yes. What does eternity mean? What does eternity mean? How did the Greeks understand eternity? Is eternity just a comfortable life? No, of course not. Let's return to the Iliad, where, what's the mother of Achilles called again? Thetis. Yes.
Thetis.
She gave him a prophecy and said, like,
you know, either have a life.
You can have a comfortable life over here, right? Yes. Or you will go to Troy and be remembered forever, but you will die at Troy.
Yes.
And that's how the Greeks understood eternity. Eternity was kleos, yes. It was the echoing of your name into settings where you were not present.
My name is Maximus Decimus Aurelius.
And what we do in life echoes in eternity.
Yalla.
Yes, exactly.
Nice,
same principle.
Nice.
But you see how the antiques conceptualized this concept of eternity.
I can see.
Eternity is not achieved by making a bargain with a beautiful demigoddess of like proportions, you know? Eternity is about heroism and about the transcension, the ability of your name to transcend your epoch. Nice. And so, you will not become eternal through a life of comfort. Because like, we know Odysseus' story because he made it back to Ithaca at the end to tell us, whereas if he stayed on that island with Calypso, there would be no Odyssey. Like, Telemachus would never know what happened to his father, and it would just be like, oh, what happened to Odysseus? I don't know, he was a cool guy. We never heard the end of his story, though.
Yeah.
Right? So, it would have been no eternity, no glory, no kleos. And that's the return of his heroism to...
Actually,
yes.
The mortality of Odysseus made him eternal.
That's it! Listen, the gods are not capable of heroism. We don't focus too much on the gods. No, the gods express
because
themselves...
they're mortal!
Exactly,
exactly. The gods envy us, why?
Because we are mortal and any moment can be our last.
Nice!
There you go.
Another one. Nice!
Right? So the gods are not capable of heroism because their lives have no circumspection.
They're
their
jealous!
Lives have no... Yes.
Voila.
No consequence. If you cannot endure suffering, if you cannot die, if the circumstances of life do not haunt you at every moment of the day,
like
you are not capable of heroism.
If there is no death, there's no life.
There's no heroism.
Right? If there's no hardships, there's no beauty.
There you go.
Correct?
There you go.
If there's no sour, there's no sweet. If there's no day, there's no night.
There you go.
Correct? Therefore,
heroism demands suffering.
If you're eternal, basically, and you're here to seduce and to produce, and I would say to satisfy the desires and whims of Calypso, well, yes, you're eternal. On paper, materially, but you're actually dead.
You're actually dead.
Right?
There will be no remembrance of Odysseus.
No.
There will be no Odyssey.
Yeah.
There will be no Sing to Me Muse, the man of many twists and turns.
No,
course. Misguided after sacking the high walls of Troy.
And more than that, I would even say that Calypso could be even compared to Medusa.
Oh, totally.
Medusa, or even I would say the sirens even, right? The sirens and Calypso have a lot in common, right?
Totally.
They're both toxic, okay?
Yes.
Toxic girls, okay? Honestly. Toxic demigoddesses, not the sirens, but anyways, right? Because
you know what the sirens are? They're flatterers, because the sirens appeal to your ego.
Yes.
For Odysseus, like the ego was the reason why he was able to overcome the situation of pigs, because he's like, I'm the rational guy. I'm not going to succumb to that.
Right.
So the sirens appealed to his ego and his rationale, and charmed him with this tale of knowledge and the seductive power of knowledge and whatever, right? Yeah, so those are the sirens. It's the appeal to the ego of flattery. Like, oh, you're so intelligent, Odysseus.
What did Medusa do? Can you tell me?
You look into her eyes and you turn to stone.
Yeah, what does it mean?
It doesn't mean you actually turn to stone.
No, it means you forget your purpose.
You lose your agency.
Voila.
Paralyzed, paralysis.
How many, just tell me, how many baddies have tried to seduce you? I have an answer. None. Okay? How many baddies have tried to seduce us? Billions. Okay, very simple. Why? Okay, we look at them in their eyes. Okay, beautiful mermaids who sing us songs.
Like a woman cannot rob you of your agency if there is no agency to begin with.
Okay,
right?
Voila, you chase your purpose, your destiny, your glory. Okay, and she chases you. That's the way of life of the sun.
And by the way, if you're reading certain meanings into this, it's not that we imply it, but we should let you know nevertheless that there's way more personal development to be found in classical literature than any self-help book.
You need to understand something.
You got to read more fiction,
dude.
Read more myth.
The self-help books are just the way lower degree of myth.
Yeah.
Myth is the OG self-help book. The Salon is here to reintroduce that. You need to understand.
Totally.
So therefore, we've seen the toxic relationships. Basically, Calypso was the daughter of the Titan Atlas. Okay, so it was kind of hard to go around her, right? She wasn't just any mermaid.
Yeah, because her father was a pretty scary guy.
Right, like you don't want to mess with the daughter of a Titan, right? Been
like
there,
you go home, you meet the girl's parents, and like her dad is like an army general or something.
Voila, right? Voila. So therefore, like Odysseus needed to play his connections around, and because Athena, the goddess of reason, was like kind of one of his groupie, he was like, "Listen, Athena."
Like Odysseus's LinkedIn was popping off. He had a good LinkedIn.
Exactly. What's that beautiful shield? Those mesmerizing guys. Can you talk to your dad, Zeus, so he can maybe make it work for me? Pull some strings. So Zeus was like, "Okay, I love my daughter. Poseidon, you should chill a bit. Listen, now we're going to discuss with Athena, okay, with Calypso. I know her dad, great Titan, great guy, very smart man. So, voila. So Zeus pulled some strings and Calypso let Odysseus sleep because he was crying all night, right, in front of the sea because, first of all, she emptied Odysseus of his essence. First of all, right, he was a raisin sec,
dried raisin.
A dried raisin afterwards, right? So therefore, voila, he needed to regain his essence, regain his power, and he left. Okay, he left from Calypso.
Which was a very necessary step, because as we said earlier, the Odyssey represents the introduction of domestic life into the Western canon, and that's kind of what Calypso is doing here. Whereas in the last book, Odysseus is not quite warmongering man, but the war-fighting hero. Calypso domesticates him.
Yes.
Calypso domesticates him, does represent these kind of motherly figures of this divine motherly figure through qualities of nourishment and support.
Yes.
But nevertheless strips him of his masculinity by denying him of his agency and creating for him a false paradise. It's a decision between like the wife and the... I don't want to use any tough language over here.
Use any tough language.
Like between a sex worker and a real wife, let's say.
Okay, it's the oldest job, yeah.
Right.
It's the oldest job, the sex worker, yes. Well,
or in Peter Pan terms, like Tinkerbell and Wendy.
Yes.
Like you got to choose between the false paradise of Tinkerbell, which you can get right now, or Wendy, although you have to struggle for Wendy.
Of course.
Wendy is on the other end of your nostos, on the other end of your homecoming. And what is the homecoming? It's the return to self. It's the return to Ithaca. It's the return to home and being.
To the essence.
To essence. Return to the known world.
Nice.
After you've ventured through this unknown world.
Nice.
With more knowledge and more self-awareness.